Welcome to Q&As. I'm your host, Marcia Boyles, and I'm delighted today to introduce two friends of mine who are residents here at Greenspring. The first is Dorothy Massey, who is the editor of the Memories publication, and second is the production manager of Memories, Kathy Bonner. Welcome, both of you. It's so good to have you. Now, I'm awfully sorry to say that this is probably our last get-together to talk about Memories because you all are retiring. And, you know, we're all disturbed and distressed that you're doing this. So I thought we'd talk a little bit today about Memories, about the history of Memories, when you all got started with it. Dorothy, you have been the editor for 8 years, is that correct?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the history of this publication.
Well, it was started almost when Greenspring started, and the people whom I knew were my predecessor, Fran Richardson, and I don't know how long, and Larry Nichols was the guy who did production, and he was totally devoted to the publication, and he was a hard taskmaster, wouldn't you say?
Oh yes, he gave me the on-the-job training.
And Fran Nicholson had to retire because of poor health, and when I came in, I applied to Kathy and Larry. They put a little notice in the last Memories saying that they needed a new editor. And I hope the same thing will happen with this vacancy that happened when I applied. I went to Kathy and Larry with samples of my work, my writing work, and just exactly as if I were applying for a job. Mm-hmm. And as I said in the little piece I wrote for the last Memories, as if that job were going to pay. And actually it did pay. I was tremendously lucky. I had great benefits of doing that work. I have enjoyed it over the years, but it's been 8 years, and both Kathy and I feel it's time for new blood, new ideas, and it's an exciting challenge for anybody who enjoys writing and enjoys the relationship that this brings them to other people who live here.
Well, Dorothy, I think you certainly, after 8 years, have a right to retire at this point. Have you received any indications from folks that there may be some people who are interested in taking this over?
I would say nothing definite enough to make any announcements. I'm hoping we've got the summer. We'll have the July issue. We will do the August issue, and after that, it's wide open.
All right. So to be continued in terms of finding a successor for you. Dorothy, one of the things that you and I have talked a little bit about, you and I and Kathy have talked a bit about, and that is that if somebody takes it over, they're not really going to be required by anybody or in any form to use exactly the same format and methodology that you have used.
No, absolutely not. This is the exciting part about it is the opportunity it allows for a person's creativity to be challenged. What we have had, when I started, I pretty much followed the rules that were in place when I came. I modified them maybe slightly. I think we changed we have a 500-word limit now. The publication is almost always 4 pages. I think that Greenspring or Erickson permits 2 8-pagers per year for financial reasons, because it costs more to do an 8-pager than it does to do a 4. Last year, I only did 1 8-pager. I have the feeling, and I may be wrong, and somebody may have a whole different idea, that people's attention span is just about right for 4 pages. Sometimes I think that you make a greater impact by like there's an old saying, brevity is the soul of wit. And I try to impress that upon the people who do write for this publication. And I have also found that when people have been a little upset about having to have their copy cut, yet when it's done, they'll say, this really looks better than it did before. Because it forces, having a word limit forces people to do the thing that is, to me, most important in writing. That is, to make every word tell, to make every word advance your story.
Yes, both I and the memoir writing class that I have here at Greenspring have found the same thing. Every time you go through and edit and remove words, it absolutely sharpens it every time. And Dorothy, I think you're absolutely a past master at being able to edit these stories. One of the things that we've all noticed, again, a number of my class folks contribute to your, and they're going to be disappointed, by the way, in not being able to have an outlet for some of their stories. But I think every time that any of us have submitted to you, we've all commented on the fact that you do it so well. You keep the gist of the story. I don't ever remember a story being changed because of your editing in terms of the substance.
Yes, I think it is critically important, or sort of basic, that any editor must have respect for the writer and do nothing to warp the spirit of what has been written. When a person writes a piece for Memories or any other publication, they put their soul and their heart into it. It's something that's very personal to them, very important to them. And so you need to respect that. Don't ever edit because you particularly like one word better than another. Mm-hmm. And another point that I've always found that it was important, if I did make a change, a correction or a change that I just think would be better, or if I need to cut it, I never do this without consulting the person, showing them what I've done and asking them, do they approve of this? And sometimes if they don't approve, we work together and make it what they will like. There are two rules that are very critical, very central. One, no proselytizing, whether of a religious or of an ideological nature, and keep within the general rules of civility. That is, we don't want pornography in here.
No, I've certainly never seen anything that could be labeled uncivil in your publication, Dorothy. All right, Kathy, let's talk a little bit about your role in all this.
Well, Larry taught me by the seat of my pants, Publisher 2003, and that's what is still being used in the Erickson community, and that's we send it to the copy shop like that. And it doesn't mean that you would have to use that program. Any desktop publishing program, if you're more familiar with that, I think a lot of people have done church bulletins, any kind of different thing like that. And Microsoft Word even could be used.
Could it, Kathy,
yeah.
to be? All right. I've used Publisher, and it's not easy to learn that.
Sometimes does what I don't expect it to, and I don't know how to fix it, and Larry's gone.
And if you don't know how to fix
it's
it.
Really,
Yeah.
Yeah. But a couple of the new gals in community resources said they would be willing to help. And early on in our history.
Now, how would they help, Kathy?
Help if you had problems with Publisher.
Oh,
for instance.
they know how to do it.
They do.
Ah,
yeah, they're very
all right.
skilled with that.
Would they be willing to do some of the work, I wonder?
I think they're pretty darn busy
I
right
think
now.
they
But
are.
if you had a particular issue, they could certainly help with that.
All right. Well, that's
Yeah,
good to know.
yeah.
That's absolutely good to know.
And then in the distant past, when I first started, Priscilla in the administrative office would proofread and help us with it too. So she's very good with it, but again, she's got a lot of irons in the fire.
Yes, a lot on her plate.
Yeah.
Dorothy, talk a little bit about the source of your stories.
Well, you mean the people who...
Yes, I'm thinking your Monday afternoon,
Oh, yes.
Monday evening group.
We have Monday evening on the third Monday of each month at 7 p.m. at Hunter's Crossing. We have a meeting, and the group is called Memoir Sharing.
Memoir Sharing.
And the people who come to this, now this has just evolved since I was working with the group. And
Did that group exist before you
oh,
were
yes.
involved?
Oh, yes,
All
they
right.
did. And the person who was editor did attend those meetings. And I think at one time it may have been treated more as instructional. What I found when I started was that these people were good writers. The ones who come to the meetings are good writers. They're highly educated people. They have imagination. And I thought it, and as I worked with them more, I thought it was presumptive of me to act like I could teach them anything about writing. What we do in the classes, I mean, people will listen, and if a person asks for help, we will make suggestions. And then when I go to the process of editing, I will talk with them maybe about a little bit of a change. But I would call that group is, in a sense, the nucleus of the program, of the publication that we do. And I try to explain to them that we don't necessarily give precedence to their stories over the ones that come in, as you have said one time, over the transom, that people send in to my cubby or buy online. I welcome stories. In fact, I love to get stories from people who don't, even if they don't want to attend the meetings. I love it when people come, and I think the group that does come to the meetings have a special rapport with each other, and they inspire each other to think of new ideas, and I think they help bring in stories from people they know. They help form a kind of a network, and so I find it a very congenial group, and I enjoy the meetings. I remember when I started, I only was applying to be the editor, and then I was told by Larry and Kathy, well, of course that means you're the head of the hostess of the group. And I said, oh.
Is that all you said was, oh?
And however, it was very important, because I think it's very good for us to get together in that way.
Dorothy, I have attended, particularly a few years ago, attended a lot your Monday evening groups, and they were absolutely marvelous. I mean, there was absolutely a rapport that developed between people, and I think just as in our class, our memoir writing class, absolutely people will say, "Gosh, I had a similar experience," or "In that year, I did such and such." It really does inspire a lot of thought and stories from all kinds of people.
And one of the things that I read something not long ago that I thought was so absolutely appropriate for our group, and it posed a question, and I don't have the exact quote, but it was something about what possibly good thing can we say about getting old, other than the fact that we're still here. And here's the thing, what we have is this wealth of experience, memories, ideas, and also, I think, wisdom. And also a sense, age gives us a sense of proportion about values and experiences in our lives. And I think that doing memories, contributing to memories, editing memories, enhances that and also fulfills the potential that we have for such contribution. If you would look at the pages of memories that we've had over the years, I mean, the the range of experience, and the humor, and also the pathos. We've had tragic stories, joyous stories, and I just think there's such riches here that we can share through this, and I'm hoping that that there will be people who will see this, and perhaps there will have to be a few months when there are no memories published. But I will bet anything that before 6 months is gone, there'll be another issue, another memories, and it may have a different format. The articles may look different, and it may have a new title. But I really believe it's not going to die. And we right now are the only community, as far as I know, and of Erickson communities that have such a publication.
Is that right?
That was why I started way 9+ years ago, because Fran had retired and nobody was going to do it. And it was like, and Larry was going blind, and it was like, I did not want to see it go down. And I just gotten to the point that I can't do it anymore. And I know there's people out there that can, and I hope they'll step forward, because it's a great experience to begin with.
And we've enjoyed it.
And people will come up to you after it comes out and say, oh, I really love this story or that story. It reminds me of, and I say, oh, write it down and send it in, please.
And I should mention,
it
too,
touches so many people.
that we have help.
I agree.
That we also have Sally Siraki as a proofreader. She proofs. Bobby Ashton is our head of community outreach, on memories outreach. She sees to it that we are listed where we should be, that we have the facilities we need in the room, and that when there's a change in schedule, that is made known. And she is terrific.
Yes.
And we may get another proofreader. I've heard of somebody who has said she was willing, but I haven't heard again. And I'm sort of in the middle now of I'm getting ready to wrap up. And will we have regrets?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm looking forward. I'm not looking back. I've enjoyed it, but I think it's time for new blood.
I do. That's
And
what
we're a package deal. I don't want to do it without
No,
you.
and we work together so great, fine. It's just been a joy. It's been the best thing that I could have possibly done when I came to Greenspring, because from the moment I started doing this, I had a feeling of being a part of this community and of calling this place home. Because I realized I had, all these people with all these thoughts that were, and life experiences, and it was very enriching to me. And I realized there is light in the tunnel. There's light at the end of the tunnel.
And light even in the tunnel.
Maybe light in the tunnel.
I like that.
I do too. Well, Dorothy, I think the publication has been of tremendous service to the community. I think we all read it sometimes, and there'll be a piece by somebody we don't know, and by the time you've read their piece, you feel like you know them to a certain degree.
And it's subject of lots of dinner table conversations.
It is, absolutely.
And I know people read it to the patients over in Garden Ridge.
Oh,
and
do
they
they?
enjoy it
Do
tremendously.
volunteers,
Yeah.
Kathy, is that what you're saying? Read it to the Garden Ridge folks? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I'm not sure how many copies go over there, but I know that the volunteers do read it to the residents, and they love it. It's memories are just so important.
Well, they're important to the people that write them, and they're important to the people that read them. And so I think everybody absolutely benefits by this. I can't imagine Greenspring somehow without that publication.
Yeah.
And Dorothy, I think I would agree with you. I think somebody is going to step up.
I feel it
in
will
some
happen.
form.
Yeah,
I feel it will happen.
Might be a different format, as you say, but might be every other month, or it might be whatever they.
Well, it could
people
be
have
twice
ideas,
a year. I
yeah.
mean, yeah.
I don't know if I could handle that. I'd have to ration it, a couple pages a day.
Dorothy, how many stories would you say had been published?
Oh,
How many do you do each edition?
it's usually 6 per issue.
About
6 or
six.
7, and
Six or
depending
7.
if they're shorter.
So
We
can't
used to have a limit of
multiply
300.
7
Yeah.
by 50 by 12, and then
Times
by
9.
8 years.
All right, we're talking 1,000, something like that, for sure.
And
Oh,
then
probably more
go
than that.
beyond that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep. Now, do you still have a backlog of stories? Are there
Not
stories
so much.
available?
By the way, that's important too to say. One reason that we usually do 4 pages, in addition to the restrictions by Erickson of space, time, and money, is that if we did 8 pages every time, or even 3 or 4 times, I'd run out of stories. We would not have any backlog. We have a difficulty in that there are some people who write things every month. So we have a backlog from some people, and then we have a shortage of new writers. And so really keeping the publication to 4 pages makes it more economical and makes it we don't run out. And the other part, the 500-page limit, is critical because we want to give as many people as possible an opportunity to be in the publication. Once they've written something, they like to see it in there.
Of course. All right. And I know you're very diplomatic in dealing with all of us who have submitted things. Sometimes some things are better than others, and you're very careful of the way you phrase it. As you're putting it, everybody's ego gets involved. There is a quotation that always circulates among professional writers, and I can't remember the source of it at this point, but it's "kill off your darlings." Have you ever heard that phrase? And it's when we fall in love with particular words or
Absolutely.
phrases, and the advice to writers is kill off your darlings, which I think
It's
certainly
totally
pertains.
true.
It
Yeah,
is.
because I have found, and I used to do, I had this problem more when I was younger, but it is true and still when I do a memory, and I realize I put something in there because it's something I have certain vanity about,
Right.
and maybe it's something I want people to know about me, but does not need to be told. Or if there's a word I think I'm really proud of, come out.
Exactly. Yes, we do. Our ego gets very involved in phrases and exactly, facts, even in words. It's amazing that we can get
Yeah.
so attached to words, isn't it? Those of us who are so inclined, at least. Kathy, would you be willing, if the need arose, to also help instruct somebody who might follow in your footsteps?
Oh, yeah, sure. I could show them what we've done in the past and, the reasons why we had these different protocols and things. And, I'd be happy to do that.
And you do also use clip art.
That's been a problem with the program right now. It's not working.
Not able to use the
Yeah.
clip art. But if somebody were willing to do the production using publisher software, you would be willing to help them learn it. Because it's
As
not,
much
it's
as I
not
know.
easy.
Yeah.
No, but I know that there are people here who know it backwards and forward.
Oh, you think there are?
Oh, I know they are. I've seen. Yeah, because they're people, aren't they? PC helpers who go around and they know all about.
I haven't found anybody that's...
Oh, you haven't?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that.
They know about PCs and they know about other things, but I
they're-
wanted
but
to get a
Not
class.
that particular software.
Yeah.
No, and it is difficult to learn, I found.
Well, could new software be used if it were?
Oh, certainly. You could use Windows or Word or there's other desktop publishing programs that they could use if they're more familiar with it.
Can Word itself, Kathy, be adapted to?
Yeah,
That's what I
there's
thought, the
column
formatting.
functions.
Yeah,
and,
that's what I
and
thought.
that, and wrapping and all that. Yeah.
So
could
if
be
you
used.
if you were really good at Word, you'd probably be able to manage.
Oh, I would think so.
Yeah. You and I have talked about the fact that the Word 2014 is extremely difficult.
Well, they hide things.
Well, they do.
Everything's still there, but where?
And there've got to be 300 icons. I mean, it's
Oh.
just unbelievable, unbelievably complicated. I have found.
Well,
I'm still
it's
learning.
harder to learn as we're.
You don't think it's us?
Oh no! There's just so much crammed in there. It's hard to make.
No, I
room.
think it's got to be the software. It certainly isn't. It certainly isn't that we have any diminution of our powers. Absolutely not. Well, folks, I think this has been extremely helpful. It just makes me very sad. I think we've had, Dorothy, you and I, about 6 programs over the years.
Yes.
We've been on the Book Babes together. We've been on Village in Motion and on the Q&As. And it just makes me very sad that this is going to be our swan song in terms of talking about memoir writing.
Well, I'm hoping that before the summer's over, I will be able to be on again
To make an announcement.
to make an announcement that
Introduce
someone
the new
has said
folks.
All right.
someone has volunteered. I have
right.
my hopes because I think we have a program ready to go if that happens in July, and whenever it does happen, it will certainly be widely announced, and it'll be a great day. And maybe it's going to just be terrific for some new ideas to enter into all this.
Well, Dorothy, I hear what you're saying. That change is not necessarily bad, and I think you have certainly earned you've certainly earned the right to say I've had enough after 8 years, and you've done just a yeoman's job here. It really has been such a community resource, and we're going to miss it until it resumes. So on behalf of all of us, I'd like to thank both of you for your contribution and hope that this publication will continue. We have 2 more issues. We have the July issue and the August
That's
issue.
correct.
Is that correct
Yes.
for both of you?
Yes.
All right. Well, again, Kathy, thank you for all of your help. You've been here working on this really almost from the beginning, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah, it's been over 9 years.
Over 9 years. And Dorothy, you've been working on this 8 years.
8 years.
Now, one question I didn't ask you, are you going to continue as the group leader for your Monday evening?
Not the group leader. I'm hoping. We expect that the person who volunteers to be editor will also become the leader of the.
But Dorothy, if there's a hiatus in terms of the
I will
publication,
probably go to the meetings, but I'm not going. I mean, maybe I'll act like I've always acted. I talk a lot, but I will not be the leader anymore.
Well, will you
kind
be
of
the
runs
leader? Will you
itself.
be the leader until there's a new leader?
I don't know. We'll no comment.
I see. All right. To be announced and resolved. To be resolved and announced.
And I'd like to thank everybody at Greenspring for the wonderful contributions that they have made to this publication. And I'd like to thank you for your continuing interest, and Kathy for being a great partner.
Oh, it's been great.
Thank you both. This has been terrific. And we'll keep our fingers crossed that very soon
Somebody step up,
somebody-
or maybe 2 co-editors if you can
Yeah,
handle
there might
that.
be
you go.
2 people who want to do it together.
or 5.
Well, maybe. They might.
That would be. That sounds too much like a committee.
This is true. All right.
But
You know
nothing
what
is
they
written
say
in
about
stone.
committees.
Exactly. All right. Well, again, many thanks, both of you. This has been terrific. Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you next month.